mi gente, and welcome back to another episode of Vino y la Verdad, hosted by Ladies of Wine and Wisdom. Hi, ladies. How are you?
Hola. Great. How are you?
I'm good.
Hi,
I'm
friend.
good. Hi. Everyone, we have a very special, very loved special guest co-host, Miss Yaya. Hi, Yaya.
Hi.
That's me. I'm happy to be here with you, ladies. Thank you, Francis, Gloria. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, ladies of wine and wisdom. This is awesome. I love getting together with you guys.
I love you too. Thank
So
you so
much.
much. You look amazing. The lip, the
Yes.
hair. Te entregaste.
Super chula.
Listen, I knew you ladies were gonna bring it, and I was like, I can't look like I just rolled out of bed. So I know they're gonna bring it. I need to bring it with them. And I'm glad I did, because look at you, better look at you. And look at you.
Me
Hello.
bañé.
Hello.
Sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes.
No, we
Save
try
water,
to
save water.
alternate. Yeah. We try to alternate. So Gloria watches on Monday, I do Tuesday. Now we can give you Wednesday.
You know, it can't be every
Thank
day.
you.
Don't get used to
I'll
it.
take Wednesday. I'll take Wednesday.
I'm so excited to have you here. We're going to start right off with studying the wine because I'm excited to talk about this topic. I am just filled with Latina joy. We have to talk about America Ferrera getting nominated as Best Supporting Actress
Yes.
for Barbie.
Yes.
Let's
Love
give
it.
it up.
Love it.
Let's give it up.
When I saw the movie and she gave that monologue, I was like, nah, like this is, yes, everyone did a great job in the movie, but that monologue, defining all the, can we curse?
Things that we
I always
have to
forget,
be.
can we curse?
Yeah,
All the
go.
shit that women put up with and have to go through.
Yeah.
And just to remember that we are enough, we are women, and we're damn good at it. So
Amen.
kudos to her.
Yes.
100%.
Well deserved. Absolutely.
Well deserved is
Phenomenal.
is the right phrase to say. You know,
Mhm.
she in that monologue, she literally summarized all the expectations that society, has for women.
Yeah.
Everything that we do as women.
Yeah.
And everything that we go through from all that, backlash from society and everything else, marriage, motherhood as women. And I thought she was amazing.
Mhm.
I thought she was amazing.
Absolutely.
And the irony of her getting nominated, which very well deserved, but Margot Robbie not getting nominated and Greta Gerwig not getting nominated, but then Ken gets nominated. It's like,
It's
oh,
just
this
crazy.
is what the monologue is about.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's true. Yeah, it brought her words to fruition.
Yeah.
Totally.
But she's representing for the whole movie. And I'm pretty sure that everyone, or I'm hoping that everyone is proud of her, including the director, Margot Robbie, who this was her vision from the start years ago. And I just hope they're as happy for America as we are, as Latinos, as women.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I know there's been a lot of talk and controversy with the whole that, Margot Robbie didn't get nominated and she should have gotten nominated for, for an Oscar. I agree. I think she did a phenomenal job as Barbie. Gloria and I went to go see that movie together. And at the end of the movie, we were just like, wow, with everything, the concept of the movie, the premise of the movie, the message of the movie, all the all-star actors that were in the movie. I do think she definitely deserved a nomination.
Yeah. This was her baby. This was her idea. He brought this to Greta Gerwig to direct. And I love how it just shines a light on the toxic masculinity of Ken and of men and what they expect the world to cater to their every need and their king. And so it sucks that they weren't nominated, but again, our girl America Ferrera is
Cheers to her.
Representing.
Yeah, cheers to her. I don't have my wine glass because I'm not home, but I'm gonna sip some water.
Sipping water today.
I guess it's a water day.
Staying hydrated.
And we didn't plan this, guys, but it's a water day.
No, we did not. So we're gonna sip some water.
Or is it vodka today?
In honor of America Ferrera and all the Latinas out there and all the actors and actresses out there doing their thing and working for their dreams and their nominations and all of that. It's a hard industry, and a lot of people do think that the minute they make a movie they're making millions of dollars, and we all know that that's not the case. A lot of times they make these movies and they get paid a couple of $1,000 that and it's crazy. So yeah, so cheers to America Ferrera and to everyone out there. Barbie was a phenomenal movie.
Yes.
And we have a phenomenal person on the show today. I'm very excited to meet him. He actually canceled his podcast tonight so he can record on our podcast tonight. So we are very grateful for that. He is an entrepreneur, digital marketer, social media content creator, and he has an obsession with beer. And he travels all around the United States and does reviews on all different types of beer. So don't go anywhere, guys. In our Pero Porque Vai segment, we have Craig Thorn. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. So excited to be here. So excited. Today we have a very special guest. We have, well, no, I don't want to say his name first because I kind of want to give you a little background because my sister loves beer and I don't like beer. My sister's in Florida. Her and her husband will buy beer and go really far to buy beers and then sell them. And they have really cool artwork in front of them. And they've had me try things and I'm like, too strong, or I'm not much of a beer person, but they always want me to try things. So today's guest is all about craft beer, and I'm excited to ask questions. Why is this so exciting? What makes people like craft beer? Because sometimes it does not taste that great to me. I'm just wondering why this is such a big thing and it's growing. So please welcome Craig Thorn to our segment.
Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for having me. Great to meet you.
Hi,
all.
welcome.
Thank you very much. So many smiling faces. I love it.
I guess we would say that would be the wine making us smile, but today we're all drinking.
Today we're with another W, water.
It's
water
natural.
with them today.
The smiling is inherent. I love it. It's great. Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah,
So
thank
Craig,
you for
just
joining.
like I said earlier, my
Yes.
sister is into beer, and she'll come to New York. There's an event with craft beer breweries, and I'm just like, I've gone, and I'm just like, I don't like the flavor, or sometimes I find something, but it is rare. Plus, I'm not much of a beer drinker per se, but this is big. I didn't realize how big it is. So talk about that.
Yeah, craft beer's a strange niche little world. I only discovered it in January 25th right now. I discovered, I think it was January 19th, 2011. So I just hit 13 years of doing these little silly reviews that I did. And it's I just like the way, maybe to answer the question, I discovered it. I'm from Australia, you can probably tell by the accent, and I'm living here in Canada. And I moved in 2010. It was my first winter in Australia. Obviously, the winters aren't that bad compared to this wonderful place. And I was like, my friends in Australia were doing this thing called 365 days of beer. And it was, what you had to do was take a selfie, and you had to hold the glass. It was a label glass, a bottle, or a can at the time, to prove that you drank 365 beers in a year. And I'm like, well, clearly there's not 300 beers in the world. So sure, let me pass my first winter. And I did 365 in like 7 months. So I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, I just kept going. So I'm at like 8,100 and something now. So that turned into a podcast, and that turned into working with tourism offices and traveling all around, not the world, but the US and Australia for beer. And it's sort of, it's interesting. And there it is, people, I've traveled for beer just like your sister, like coming up to different places for a festival or just to visit world-class breweries. And like, all I would probably say is that when you think of beer, I imagine you're all picturing of, yellow fizzy water. And that is but a fraction of what beer is. It's obviously there are lagers and pilsners is what you're thinking of, and that is the majority of the world's craft beer that gets consumed for sure. But there's so much more to it. I think it's actually more nuanced than wine even, I've read. as far as like the breadth of styles and the different flavors. And I would probably argue, I reckon I could probably find something that each of you would enjoy based on your flavor profiles that you like, not just in wine, but say in cocktails or any other kind of alcoholic beverages or non-alcoholic beverages that would suit, because beer is that diverse. It's a fascinating beverage.
I would
Sounds like
that.
it. My
Yeah.
my producer just slipped me a question she wants me to ask you. She wrote it on a little piece of paper.
That's so cute.
She said, if I'm someone into wine, what would you recommend?
Which probably the first question would be which wine. I imagine say white wine. It's probably an easier answer. So
Mhm,
white wine is typically a little tart. It's like green apple,
mhm.
a little tangy, a little like sour in some cases. So then you would probably the easiest transition is something like a sour beer. So sour beers have a huge breadth of stuff. One that would suit the most, there's a they call like barrel aged sours. So brewers would get old barrels that were, it's called first use, and it would be from tequila, from red wine, from Chardonnay that had been freshly emptied, and then you throw beer in it, and then you put they call them bugs, but like bacteria. So like the
Wow.
main one's called Brettanomyces. So Brett for sure they call it. There's a bunch of other ones, but they would put this beer, and then they would sour it in the barrel, and it would sit there from maybe a few months to sometimes a few years. And those beers are typically you can fruit them afterwards, and so they could be just sort of like plain, and let the yeast and the bugs essentially change the flavor. Like they're funky. They got some interesting descriptors, like horse blanket type of thing sometimes. But it sounds just like with wine, you have some weird descriptors. Like beer is the same thing, but typically I found that white wine drinkers like sour beers. Those ones are probably the ones that are the most alike, but there's a whole breadth of different ones. One fun one is called smoothie sours. So they're like, you have, it's so nerdy. I'll try to keep it a little high level, but you get this stuff called aseptic fruit puree, so that you can buy it year round from this company in Oregon. So they're like just big blocks of like pureed fruit, and you just chuck the fruit in. Now, what you would normally do, you would put the beer on the fruit, and then you would strain the beer out essentially, and then you would serve the beer. So it tastes like the fruit. But in smoothie sours, you leave the fruit in. So the texture is literally like that of a smoothie. And they're
Wow.
phenomenal. And they're my favorite. And you don't, there's nothing in it that tastes like beer. It literally just tastes like a fruit smoothie that's a little tangy. And they put some crazy stuff in them, like cotton candy and marshmallow fluff, like ridiculous stuff. You name it, it's in there.
Wow.
Where
Yeah.
do you
That
find
sounds
these beers? Like, where do you find them? I would want to try one.
A smoothie sour. So you would go to, so you guys are in New York. What's a good New York one? Hudson Valley, I think, does a bunch of them.
Oh,
And
wow.
where else? I'm trying to have I mean, I guess Other Half. So Other Half might be the festival that your sister was going to in New York. That's probably one of my favorite breweries. They're in Brooklyn. Actually, they got a few locations, but they do a bunch of smoothies. So like, you might not be able to get them from a store. Then they're like, they have a bad reputation for the cans exploding because the yeast keep eating the sugars, and then it can
Mhm.
explode the cans. I've never had that happen to me, but I've seen it. So they typically don't ship them, but if you keep them cold, they're fine. So typically you have to go to a brewery that would do it, but I could do some research and let you know if you really want some smoothies near you. You need to pretty much go to the space to get it, but they're super fun. I love them.
Mhm.
that smoothie sour sounds like a beer sangria if it has like
Yeah,
fruits and stuff
the
in it.
fruit.
Which
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
okay, that's leaning towards wine. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's
Yeah.
go
And
there.
there's I've had ones where I've opened the can that was bright blue, like just crazy stuff. Like they're getting pretty wild these days as far as what they're putting in them, but they're really fun. And I feel like that's what people don't like sort of miss about beer. They don't realize that, like, oh wow, this is how varied it is, and how different it can be than what it's not Budweiser. That is like not what we are drinking type of thing, like a
You're
craft
like
beer person. Yeah.
Budweiser. Budweiser.
He's like, that's like Kool-Aid. That's not
To
beer.
me, that's toilet water. I'm sorry.
It
I
is.
mean,
Beer
it's the worst
101.
beer on earth. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize to me. I'm with you. It's horrendous.
I actually
Hate
like
that.
beer.
Okay. What do you like?
Well, of course, the normal beer, right?
Like a
Not
lager
the toilet
pilsner?
water one, but the normal beer. I'm from Dominican Republic. I love Presidente beer.
Gotcha.
I love Corona.
Mhm.
I love a Modelo. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
those Ekis. But I did have the Buddha beer. I actually like the Buddha beer.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
My cousin's husband is also into beer and all that. They live in Orange County. And one time we came over to the house and they were having like this beer thing, all the guys, where they were trying all these different beers. And just the bottle was what intrigued me because it was a Buddha. It's a green bottle and it's a Buddha on it.
I think I've seen that back in the day.
And he was like, try it, cuz, try it. And I actually liked it.
I see.
I don't know if it was
Lucky Buddha beer.
Japanese or from what country.
Chinese.
It was from a different country, but
It's
it was
from
called
China.
Buddha beer, and it
Yep.
was an actual Buddha
Yep.
on the bottle.
I have had
That's
that long
cool.
time ago.
Bottle.
Yeah, it looks like
That's
it's a
cool.
Chinese lager.
Okay, I knew it was
a
some
Chinese style
Asian
lager.
country.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what this is really good. You mentioned all of those beers. So one way to see if what you like is you get a craft beer version of the things you like. So you mentioned most of the beers you just mentioned would be considered Mexican lagers. So
Right.
if the thing is about like say all Budweiser and all these we call them like macro because they're owned by a lot of them are owned by massive multi-billion-dollar multinational corporations that don't care about craft beer. They just want to make money. They want to squash the craft producers and don't take away supermarket shelves and distribution for them. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And they use so many preservatives. Like if you want to actually give them props, they are exceptional in their consistency. As much as I agree that is toilet water, it is really good, really consistent toilet water, if anything. But there are alternatives that don't have those preservatives in them because those preservatives are the things that make you feel gross the next day. So you could get a craft version of like a domestic lager. So like a Budweiser is considered an American light lager.
Right.
So if you have a craft one, they're killer. If you have a craft version of the of Asian lagers, of Mexican lagers, they're so good, and they don't have any of those. Like it shows you the nuances of what it can be, and then you don't feel as terrible the next day, and you're like, all right, and then you can get introduced. And once you're sort of like, all right, craft isn't terrible and it isn't weird, all weird. It is weird, but it's not all weird. And then you can sort of like travel. Some people stay there and might just stick in the wheelhouse they like, and others continue down the path and keep going.
Yeah. My dad's favorite beer was actually Heineken.
Great one. That's actually macro I do really like.
Yeah.
Still. Yeah. That's a killer one.
This is so interesting, just the whole culture of craft beer.
I know, I'm like,
and the fact that people travel just to try, and it makes sense because a lot of craft beers are made in just specific places in the world. So you have no choice but to really go and seek them out. You mentioned that you're over 8,000 beers that you've tried since 2011.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
I can tell you exactly. The reviews, that's actually like taking the picture, and 8,139 was the last one.
Wow.
And
so that's actually doing, but I've had many of them multiple times. So like it's be more than that, and it's problematic for the rest of them. But
I mean, for a beer drinker, you're making it work with the fitness somehow. So
I could be doing a lot better.
But of all these beers you've tried, is there one? And I know 8,100. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I love cider beer. So whenever I say cider beer, I'm never disappointed. When I try other things like Claudia, I'm like, what? Pero qué es esto? Is there a beer that you can remember that was absolutely atrocious? You could not even swallow it. You don't have to name drop. You don't have to throw anyone under the bus. But tell us, take us back to that moment.
I've had that so many times, but I keep it positive on our platform. So on our Instagram and on our podcast and YouTube and stuff, we keep it super positive. But between us, like as you can imagine, you do beer stuff and then people want to send you their beer so you would talk about it, right? And we do podcasts, and part of the podcast is drinking the beer with the producers and so on and so forth. Obviously, when I'm drinking it with people, it's not a problem. But there was particularly over the pandemic when beer was kind of going, I know, had a crazy uptick because everyone was sitting at home bored, just wanting to drink. They were sending out the press packs. I was getting 3-4 a week. No human can possibly consume that. I have a cellar in my basement that is pretty insane, and it's just mostly because I couldn't drink it. So when it got to the point where I needed to take content, so even if I kind of didn't like it that much, I'd do the photo, do the video, whatever it is, drink it, down the drain, next. And it was like, I used to feel bad at first, but then during podcasts, I'd see brewers we would used to do it in person before we started doing this way, virtually, and they would have to have it'd be like 2 p.m., middle of their workday. So they would drink a little bit and they just pour it in the drains in the floor. And I was like, what are you doing? at first. It was like shocking to me that they would waste beer. And then I started just getting used to it because I can see where they're coming from, sheer volume. So now if I just don't like something, it's just you just got to get rid of it because it's not feasible to continue to do it. But I make a thing of not to talk about that if I don't like it. I don't know. I don't feel like that's contributing to craft beer.
Yeah,
So
no.
I would talk to friends and stuff about it, but I wouldn't. I'd be like, bro, this sucks. Have you had this? But yeah, not, and it doesn't necessarily mean the producer's bad. They might have just had a miss. They might have rushed it. Something might have gone wrong in the
Mhm.
can, which can happen as well. So I try to also give them the benefit of the doubt that they, typically, but then some breweries just, aren't also very consistent. So I now buy like 95% of my beer and I'm way happier because everything I buy, I know the breweries I love and I keep going back and they never let me down. So I'm definitely happier not having to kind of drain anything. I couldn't even tell you the last time I drained something, actually. It's been a
That's
while.
very generous. That's very generous of you to be nice and
Yeah.
just like if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say
Don't say
anything at
anything
all.
at all.
It's felt like a good way to be. I've seen other people do it and it kind of just pissed me off. I'm just like, what are you doing, bro? Like, I'm a business owner. My girlfriend and I've owned a business for like 9 years now. And I'm like, would I appreciate if we made a little mistake and then someone went online and
Right.
trashed us? Like, that's not okay with me. And I feel like if I'm going to put something out there and also like, just like you ladies are all sitting down with people for an hour plus, whatever it is, you start to kind of get to know someone, you get a rapport, right? My podcast are minimum 2 hours. I've had like up to 5 hours before because
Wow.
as you can imagine, you drink
Who's
and you get kind
editing
of
that?
Wow.
no, we don't edit. We just add a little starting theme and put it
Wow.
up.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Because I don't know, I prefer it being like it's like eavesdropping into the conversations,
Yeah.
which is the
Wow.
intent. But the
5 hours.
yeah, so you end up getting to know these people and it becomes a little personal where I'm like, well, I know this guy or this girl, and I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I don't want to disparage their business even if I don't
Mhm,
love everything they do. Like I just don't feel like there's any need for it. But I have seen people do it. I
mhm.
was like, yeah, maybe that's why we've been around for a while. It's been podcast started in April 2015, so we're coming up on 9 years. And I think that could be I would guess why, because we stay positive. Not to the point of
Right.
kissing ass and saying someone's good when they're not, but just maybe not talking about the things that we're not fond of. And who
Yeah.
am I? I'm not like the arbiter of all things good either, right? Like this is
Mhm.
just my particular uh
Your
you know
philosophy. I
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I like that because what you may like, what you don't like, someone else may like. So
Right.
it's up to you to
Exactly.
try it. Not my cup of tea, but hey, it can work for you.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. I,
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
like
in
I
the
know you
reviews I
have
say that sometimes.
I know you have a love for beer, obviously. But I'm interested in how, because you wear so many hats, like we would have to have a 10-hour podcast in order to cover everything that you do. Ours, unfortunately, is just 1 hour, so sorry, we shortchanged you on time. But
We'll make it work.
but you also have a love for hip hop. So
Yes.
where did beer and digital marketing and content creating and like how did all this come to play where you have all these different interests and you have this huge love and affection for hip hop?
So music, I guess I got into hip hop when I'm 42, so I got into it when I was 11 maybe in Australia, and no one was listening to rap in Australia too at the time, so it was difficult to get it. There wasn't many peers. It was me and my brother and very few other people that you could talk to about it. We back then, as many of you might remember, everything, there wasn't the internet. There wasn't YouTube or SoundCloud or Spotify.
Right.
So I want to get the Source magazine, you get it from they're called the news agent where you buy magazines, and they were like 3 months late and like 3 times the cover price because they had to be imported. Like if you want
Wow.
to buy a CD, you'd have to privately order it and it would be like $40-50 for one CD.
Wow.
I'm like a kid using all my money from working at McDonald's to buy all this stuff. And
Wow.
so got into hip hop then and I don't know, I tried all this stuff. I can't dance, so there was breakdancing gone. I tried DJing. I didn't have my own equipment or have the money for it, so I didn't get good. What's the other thing? Graffiti, not a little bit, got in trouble at school for it, so I stopped doing that. So I was like, okay, let me try rapping. And then my brother and I were doing it. So I've been making music since 2002. So this would be 22 years of putting out music now. It's
Wow.
That's why we moved to Canada. We had a small little distribution deal from a label in Miami. So we decided, well, all of our I lived in Canada before, and moving to the States is like very difficult for.
Yeah.
They don't have. There's this thing called a working holiday visa that essentially every country in the world has, except the States. So you could just go there for a year or two when you're under like 18 to 31. Well, excuse me. And yeah, so I basically moved to Canada because I already was familiar with Toronto and was able to come back. And yeah, we sort of been doing music forever. At this particular juncture, I'm a little bit jaded as far as putting out. I put out so much stuff that I'm like, and it's changed so much before the industry.
Yeah.
There wasn't as many people doing it. Now everyone
No.
doing it, and the only way
Yeah.
to get anywhere is to be ridiculous and go viral and do something stupid.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know,
Yeah.
I'm an old dude now. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to make. So I might still do stuff. I'm talking to people about doing.
You need to rap for us right now, Craig. You need
Oh,
to
no.
rap for us right now. Just throw something right now.
Never.
Say something about us.
That is like the worst possible thing anyone could ever say to me.
We're kidding.
I know
Do
the
a bit- I know
feeling. I know
you're
the
joking.
feeling.
People did it
I
at parties.
sing
Oh, yeah?
and
They
I
do it to
sing
you?
and it's the most annoying
They go,
thing. So I get it.
Yeah. Usually it happens at parties, and they'd be like, you'd be like, oh, bro, come on. But now, actually, it doesn't happen anymore because everyone thinks they can do it, but not everyone can sing.
Right.
So you're still
No.
stuck. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, so the music was why we came over here. And then I was doing digital marketing as well with from like early days. Like I was doing social media in like 07. So when like super, super early. And I moved over here to not do it. So I was trying to get like chill jobs so I could work on the music. And then just ended up falling back into it. Then my girlfriend and I started a social media agency also in 2015, or I guess it was 2014, whatever. It's been a while. And yeah, now that's our like main hustle. And we got a YouTube channel where we're helping small businesses with social media tips. And we work with some pretty big clients, Meta, Sony, NBA, a bunch of stuff like that. It's been cool. So all of those are the three main things I'm sort of doing. Like I did a song about beer, and the beer song is our podcast theme song.
Oh, cute.
Then
Nice.
because
Love
we do
that.
the beer thing, a bunch of breweries have become our clients for the agency over the years as well. So it's all kind of tied into. And then from the music we used to. I don't know why, but when we first started the agency, we thought we could manage artists and stuff. So because of that, I knew people, and we did that, and we realized, hey, we can't do that. And so it's all just been like this really nice little ecosystem of just things that we do, and it's sort of grown and changed over the years. Yeah, it's been fun. Just sort of, I don't know about you all, but like, I don't know, would you ever get bored if you only did one thing? Like if you just had this one interest, if we just did the social media, I'd lose my mind. Or if I just like music was killing me because it's such a nightmare and it's so competitive and it feels essentially impossible. So then I was like, oh, this beer thing came up. I'm like, all right, cool. And then that became this fun little, I don't care about it hobby. And then now it became a serious thing type of thing. So it just sort of like diversified what's in my life and what's around me and the people you meet. And yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you we're gonna toast with our waters.
Yes.
Like
Cheers.
this jug of water. I'm so
Cheers.
sorry.
I love it. Healthy. It's a healthy podcast.
Yes.
Talking about beer, but promoting positivity. I like it.
So what is next for you, Craig?
Right now, as far as the beer podcast, we'll just keep it pushing. I guess 9 years, we're probably one of the first in Canada. So we're, continuing to just grow that and keep spreading the gospel of beer. For the music, I'm going to see how it all goes. And we had one project I did with my friend in 2004. So it's 20 years for that one. So him and I, he's in Australia. So we have been talking about doing like a 20th anniversary thing, like doing a whole new one.
Nice.
So we're looking at that. My brother he raps and he's a producer and engineer as well. So we're like, me and him were always supposed to do an album together. So those two projects are on the horizon. And then for the agency, we hit 50,000 subscribers on YouTube recently. So we're going
Wow.
for,
Cheers.
I want that. Thank you. And we want I want that 100,000 plaque because I'm not very unlikely to get a music one. So then I want that YouTube one. So we're trying to work for that and launch some stuff this year. Just keep helping small businesses. And there's so many people who just don't have access to the information or resources. So I feel like we're actually giving back in some shape or form,
Yeah,
That's
we're
awesome.
definitely gonna harass you so you can give us some tips.
Anytime. I am here.
But thank you. It's been so interesting. I've learned so much. I'm not a huge beer drinker. I'm more like I like Blue Moon or like a ale, like a cider ale,
Mhm.
but that's the gist of it. Like,
Gotcha.
but I think you've piqued our curiosity. Now we're gonna all start like looking up all these different beers, and Claudia's
Gotta
gonna
go to
tell her
Hudson Valley
sister to
now.
start shipping,
Yeah.
shipping, beers to her. So, but I hope you will come back on our podcast so we can
I would
talk
love to.
more
Yes.
about beer and hip hop and all those ventures that you have going on. I had a blast. I learned so much. Thank you so much for being on.
Yes.
It's
Thank
such a
you.
Been
pleasure. It was-
awesome having you on tonight.
yes. It was great to meet you all. Thank you so much. This is
Thank
fun.
you.
I love it.
But stay tuned, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with our final remarks. We'll be right back.
Wow, ladies. So what did you think about Craig Thorn and his story?
He was
Loved it.
great.
It was awesome. I was a little nervous at first. I'm like, craft beer. I
Right.
didn't,
Like, what the hell are we going to talk about? Beer.
Yeah.
We're going to drink beer.
what we
But
have
it
in
was great.
common. But he was interesting. He answered our question that we had
Yes.
prior to the show, which I won't say, but yep. He
Oh,
was
he did answer the curiosity question.
He answered every question.
He
And
did.
without even
Without
thinking
us
twice,
actually
like,
saying the question. Yeah.
Sure, let me tell you exactly, because
Yeah.
this answer is right here.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that Claudia and Gloria have their own personal stories with family members and their obsession with craft beer, even though my boyfriend's obsessed with IPAs, and I'm like, that doesn't taste good.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Pero,
No.
like Claudia said, to each his own.
Cada quien con su
For
mundo.
everyone.
Yeah, it's true.
And I like that motto. He's like, we're feeling like we're not gonna say anything bad about it.
Right.
I love
Yeah.
that.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Remember,
Next time he comes on the show, you ladies will grill him about what his favorite place was
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah.
Which is
that
funny.
would
I
be
thought that's
good.
where you were going with the question, and then you were
Yeah.
like, which is the one you
Yeah.
hated the most? And I was like,
I-
oh, wow, she
I
took this
was
the
like,
total
what's
opposite
What's
way.
the bochinche? I was like, what's the bochinche? But then his answer was great. He was like, if I
No,
have
it was.
nothing
It
to
was.
say,
Yeah.
It
I'm
was
not
really
gonna
good.
no digo nada. And
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
he
love
was.
how he's giving back to other people, teaching
Yeah.
them about marketing and fusing hip hop and
Yeah.
beer. Like he's doing it. He's doing it.
He's doing his
all the
thing.
stuff.
He
And
definitely is. It was interesting. I didn't think that we were gonna gravitate to the conversation so much because, like, again, we're not beer drinkers, and it's just something new and something that we're not privy on. But I was like, literally, like,
was
everything that
great.
he knew about it.
It was
The way
really
he described it. That one beer he was talking about that it was like a smoothie. I was imagining like the big milkshakes, right? That they make with the cotton candy and the Kit Kats and all that stuff. I'm like, I wonder if it looks like that with the cotton candy on top.
Sounds like a stomach ache, but I'm down to try it.
I'm sure. Yeah, it sounds like
Yeah.
you have to drink that at home.
Yeah.
If you know what I
Yeah.
mean. But yeah, it was that.
It's good to know you can have options. It's good to know you can have options, and
Yeah.
it's not just the pea, the
Yeah.
liquid pea.
Yeah, yeah. It's cool.
I'm down. No, say it, Francis.
No, I was saying it's cool to see how people have all these different unique interests, right? You would never think that somebody would be so obsessed with beer, like,
Yeah.
or turn it into such a
I mean, that's a big
enterprise. You turned it into an
number.
enterprise, pretty much.
Yeah.
Over 10 years with his podcast,
But
talking
Yeah.
about craft beer and traveling.
Yeah.
I am so down. If there's a wine
8,000
and wisdom,
beers? 8,000
8,000.
beers? Hello.
Yeah,
if there's a wine and wisdom field trip that's gonna happen soon to craft beer places, I'm down. Mándame un texto y allá voy.
I'm gonna check out the one in Brooklyn. Like in the summer, my husband and I ride bikes, so we can
Yeah.
ride bike there and then check
Yeah.
it out.
The one that
hard
your friend
part
has
is
in
riding
Yonkers.
back.
Leaving,
The
pero
hard part is riding back.
Yeah.
Right. I
The
was
one that your
thinking,
friend has in Yonkers, we've actually gone to because they do a trivia night there on Wednesdays.
Yes,
So
they
another
do.
friend of ours actually put us onto that place. So we'll check it out. We'll let you know. But
I'm so
Yeah,
proud of
looking-
him, my high
definitely
school,
looking
my high
forward
school
to it.
friend.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool. That's really cool.
good
But
guy.
guys, thank you so much for watching our show. Tune in next week where we have mindset coach Virginia Lacayo.
Lacayo is a certified mindset coach and a thought leader in the field of communication for social and organizational. Lacayo is a certified mindset coach and a thought leader in the field of communication for social and organizational change. Join the ladies of Wine and Wisdom 5 on Wednesday as they explore transformative discussions and insights with Lacayo.
That sounds interesting. I'm excited about that. All right. And guys, tune in and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon. Join us. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Wine and Wisdom 5.
Y oye, como siempre, don't forget to take a minute to sip some wine, even though we have water today, and share a little wisdom. Nos vemos pronto. Ciao.
Bye.